Here we have part 1 of factoring quadratic expressions. First, just talking about factoring. What factoring is getting it back into the original, or taking what is out. So if we look at our foiling, when we do first, outside, inside, last, this is what we start with right here. And then we get this as an answer. When we're factoring, we want to get back to the original. So one thing, when you're looking at this, whenever you're factoring, looking for two numbers, they always multiply to get your C value of your standard form and add together to get your B value of your standard form. Right now I want you to pause the video. Yes, pause the video, and I want you to write this all down. You should be looking at these whenever you're wondering what should I do first. Your first thing you should always do is to see if there is a common factor. Then you should see if you can factor into binomials, which look something like this. And if A is not 1, then either you should use the trick way or look for factors of both A and C. And we'll be going over all these types of problems throughout the different parts. First, we have to look at this first one. You have to find the factors of 20. So numbers that multiply to get 20. So I could have 1 and 20. I could also have 2 and 10. I could also have 4 and 5. You also have the negative values of all of those. So I could have negative 20, negative 1, negative 2, negative 10, negative 4, negative 5. Because what you want to do is figure out what two numbers multiply to get 20, but also add together to get a positive 5. So now I'm going to add these together to see if any of them equal 9. 1 plus 20 is 21. That does not work. 2 plus 10 is 12. That does not work. 4 plus 5 is 9. This is my answer. So these right here would be my factors. Once I have my factors, I write it down as a binomial. So I have x, it's a positive 4, and then I have x and a positive 5. So this right here would be my factored answer. When I look at this first problem, I do not want to have a negative 1 in front of my x squared. Right now we're going to deal with those negatives later, so I'm going to factor out a negative 1. If I take a negative 1 out, that means all of these are getting divided by negative 1. So this becomes a positive x squared. So again, I'm taking out a negative. This becomes a negative 13x because I'm taking out a negative. And this becomes a positive 12 because I'm taking out this negative, which is right here. Now I'm looking for factors of 12. So two numbers that multiply to get 12. Here are all my factors of 12. Again, I have two positives or two negatives, because either way, I would get a negative 12. So now I want to figure out which one of these add together to get a negative 13. So this could be a positive 13. Once I get my 13 as the opposite, I'm going to go straight to my other two numbers that I have. So if I add these together, this will give me a positive 13. Because I know that since the number is the same but the sign is opposite, then I want to use my opposite signs. So right there would be my two factors. So I have x minus 1, x minus 12. That right there is not your final answer. You have to make sure to also include the negative 1 that you already took out. And last but not least, I'm going to be looking at my factors of negative 72. Here are all my factors of 72. So now I'm going to add those all up to see which two would be my two factors to factor it. And they would be right there. So my two factors would be x minus 4 and x plus 18. And that would be my final answer. Right now I want you to pause the video. Yes, pause the video and do these three by yourself. And these are the answers you should have gotten. Now, as you can see, I did not write out all my factored form because I personally can figure out what the factors are in my head. If you are that person, you do not have to write out the whole list of, let's say for the first one, all the factors of 14 that might add to 40. But if you can't, then you need to write out the list. Now, looking at these, before I try to factor into binomials, which is your parenthesis of x times your other parenthesis of x, first thing you should do is, what can I factor out? What can I take out of the terms? When looking at these, they both have a 3 in common. So I can take out a 3, and I can also take out an n. Now if I take out a 3n, that's like the same thing as if I divide this by 3 and what's left over. So the first one I would have a 2n left over. Second one I would just have a 3. Now this is completely factored. I can't do anything else with that. The second one, if I look at my numbers here, the 4, the 20, and the 56 can all take out a 4. So if I took out that 4, I'm going to have x squared plus 5x minus 14. So now I want to figure out what my factors are. So I'm going to have x. Sometimes it's easier too if you write out your binomials right away, like so. Two numbers that multiply to get negative 14 but add to get 5 would be a positive 7 and a negative 2. So this would be my final answer for this one. And there you go. Again, pause the video, yes, pause the video and attempt these 3 problems by yourself. Your first answer should just take out a 7 to be n squared minus 3. The second one you can take out a 9 and then factor it. As you can see, the third one I was trying to do, but you can't figure out 2 factors of 3 that add together to get 2. Because only factors of 3 would be positive 3 and positive 1, or negative 3 and negative 1, which doesn't work. So this would be completely factored as of right now in the chapter. And that concludes part 1. Come back again for part 2.